Radio. Oh, shalom, my friends. Shalom, everybody. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon. Delighted and thrilled to be here because you know, if you listen to me, that I am a student of comedy. Comedy first, Talmud second, but comedy always first. And oh my God, we've had so many delightful comedians on this program, but no one quite as wild and crazy and zany as our guest on the show. He's a nice Jewish boy named Lenny Schultz. Let me just tell you a little bit about him. You've seen him on the reboot of the show Laugh In, where you'll see that meme all over the place even today. He was on The Tonight Show. He was on Ed Sullivan. He's on The Comedy Shop with the late Norm Crosby, who just passed like a week or two ago. He is fondly recalled with admiration and even a little bit of fear by other comedians like Billy Crystal and Brett Butler and David Letterman, because they wouldn't want to follow him. He would get on the club stage and do his thing. He would kill, if you will, and then they would be like, I'm not following Lenny Schultz. No way. That guy's a madman. But he's not a madman at all. He just plays one on the stage. And right here on this program, Dave's gone by with me, Rabbi Sol Solomon. Let me say, first of all, a welcoming shalom to you, Lenny. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Oh, how are you? You sound like you're 50 years old, but you're 86?
I'll be 87 next month.
Halavai. If you don't die of COVID, halavai, you will be 87. So how do you feel as good as you sound?
Yeah, I was an athlete, so I'm in pretty good shape for my age, yeah. And a lot of people don't know, but I started comedy when I was 30 years old, pretty late, you know?
Right.
And I don't look my age. When I started at the Improv many years ago, 1968, I look like I'm 20 and I'm 30, you know?
So you always had that edge.
In my family, we all look young, yeah.
Do you work out? Do you have an exercise regimen? Or are you like a couch potato like I am?
No, I work out, but only in my apartment now. I have a few dumbbells and I do stretching and things like that.
Oh, please. At my synagogue, I have so many dumbbells. Yeah. I'm sorry, I was making a joke there, that I deal with dumbbells all the time in my synagogue, but I just have to pick them up and throw them out myself. It's a joke. It's a pun. There's a play on the words there. But you've been more of, or known as more of a physical comedian. So when did you realize, when did people start looking at you and you started doing funny things, not professionally, but were you a child, or when did that really start?
Yeah, as a child, I used to be a quiet, introverted type of kid. And to get attention, I would make faces or make sounds or do chickens or do this or do that. And I got pretty good at it, but I never thought I'd be a comic. But I started out, I was a school teacher, a high school phys ed teacher, mostly in Queens. Francis Lewis High School, John Adams, Newtown, several of them. And teachers said, hey, you're so funny. So they brought me down to the improvisation, the comedy club.
Bud Friedman.
I did a tryout there. That's how I started.
So did you have to be convinced, or were you kind of nervous? Were you excited about it? Like that first improv time where you had to suddenly go up in front of strangers and make them laugh? What do you recall about that moment in your life?
Well, I do remember going to the open mic night, and of course my heart was beating. Hey, here's a microphone, here's a stage, and I'm just fooling around and being funny with my friends. And now here's an audience, and of course I was very nervous. I had no eye contact with the audience, and I just did my 6-7 minutes, and they liked me a lot. And Bud Friedman, the owner there, who eventually became a manager, one of my managers at that time, and he asked me, and I became a regular at the Improv. That's how I started.
Do you remember?
4 months later, I was very unique in doing things. I wasn't a real stand-up with jokes like Seinfeld or David Brenner. I did unique, unusual type things.
Well, do you remember one or two of the unique bits that you did in that very first one? Were you doing chicken noises? Did you do muscle things in your face? What was some of the first in those 6 minutes?
Well, I started out, yes, my parents used to go to the Catskill Mountains in the summer to go to these lanes and bungalows and hotels, and there were chickens up there, and I started imitating them, and so I started doing chickens very early in life and doing funny things. And at the beginning, I did the routines. I never used props for the first 4 years. Then later on in life, I started doing props because they were easy. But I did most of the bulk of my TV was routines.
Okay.
And I did a lot of television at the beginning.
I heard you on another podcast. I don't want to impose upon you, but if you can, if you actually do, one of the things you do is a chicken having an orgasm. I would love, can you still do that? Could you share a chicken-gasm with us if that is not asking too much?
Oh, wow, I haven't. I used to do that for my friends. I hardly ever did it at a show, but once in a while at a late show, let's say at a Raleigh Hotel or Purchase Concord, whatever, or a comedy club, a chicken having an orgasm. Let me see. Let me just warm up.
Sure, of course.
Not bad, right?
Fantastic.
You're a rabbi, right? I could do a Jewish chicken, Italian, French, Greek. I do all kind of ethnic chickens.
Please do an ethnic chicken. Please do a Jewish, yes.
You want to hear some of it or not?
Of course I want to hear some of this. Of course.
Okay, here's a Jewish chicken. Let me warm up again.
That was beautiful. It was lovely. So let me throw some things at you that you can still do this.
Here's an Italian chicken.
Go.
Throat now. It's not coming up.
Oh, I'm saying no. Okay.
Clear, but I'm doing the best I can.
No, you're doing fantastically. Come on,
Wait a minute. Wait. I have to do the chicken having an orgasm.
Oh, please.
It's more physical. You got to really see. Okay, let me see if I can do it. Let me.
I would do a female so she has multiples. That would be good. But no, that, by the way, we've never heard that on this program before. Ladies and gentlemen, you were listening to the one, the only Lenny Schultz. I do wish you had been able to do a Zoom thing so that we could physically see you. But if people can imagine, they know you also. If you've ever seen, and Dave was talking about this earlier in the program, that one incredible, that perfect comedy, unforgettable moment. I think it was on Laugh-In, when you're the Italian woman with the spaghetti. It's magnificent. Was it all your idea? They set it up and you just did. Were there many takes of that, or did you get it in one?
I got that in one, and actually, we had about. By the way, this was not the original Laugh-In. This was called the new Laugh-In. 5 years after the original Laugh-In with Goldie Hawn, I was a regular on the new Laugh-In with people like Robin Williams, me, and about 5 others. You know what I mean? And they hired about 22, 23 comics for us. And I'm not comics, I'm sorry, writers, comedy writers. But 80-90% of what I did on Laugh-In was my own material. That spaghetti, that particular routine was mine. I made that up, yeah.
I can't. You can't watch that and not laugh.
George Slaughter's favorite.
No, it was beautiful. It was so. That moment is a moment in comedy history because it's so physical and it's just hit you so perfectly, and you did it so great that you will live on 100 years in the history of comedy just for that moment. And maybe that sounds reductive about your whole career. But a comedian would live to live forever with a moment like that, you know? I mean, do you feel that way? No?
What is that?
I'm saying,
No?
do you feel that do you think that your comedy will live on after you?
Yeah, like they're not jokes. I don't really tell jokes. I do chickens and dead and all kinds of crazy things, and I think they'll be good forever. You know, you'll be able to understand them. Most of the stuff I do, you can understand. Very simple, middle America type stuff.
Were you influenced by, say, vaudeville or burlesque or maybe Jonathan Winters, or did it just come to you just by being a funny person? You weren't directly influenced by anybody physical.
Well, no. I like funny guys. I was influenced. I don't know. Influenced is the right word, but the people I made me laugh were people like Jonathan Winters. Who else? A lot of physical comics, Danny Kaye influenced me, and
that makes sense. Yes.
Geez, a lot of cerebral comics too. I like comedy, all kinds of comedy, but the ones that I like the best was Sid Caesar, Jonathan Winters, Danny Kaye, people like that.
I think maybe Ed Wynn would have been a good, and Burl, perhaps, were they sort of influential too?
What? I didn't hear that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like Milton Berle, Ed Wynn, were they also on some level influential to you?
Yeah, I liked him. What I didn't know when, but I worked with Milton Berle. I did a routine with a sketch, and it was something really remarkable. And it was a great sketch I did on a Bill Cosby special. But they never showed it because for different reasons. I like Milton Berle. I like most comics.
So
I like comics you never heard of. I like 3 minutes of their material, 5 minutes of this guy, 2 minutes of this. Some of these guys who never hit TV, I like them better than a lot of the guys on television.
Well, that's the thing. Let me ask you: you seem not terribly attached to modern stuff? Like, I don't think you have a computer really. Even do you watch a lot of television? What do you do in your spare time if you're not watching television like the rest of the world?
Well, right now I'm with this disease going, and all this we're stuck in the house most of the time.
Right.
I'm watching politics. Yeah. I'm watching sports. I'm a big sports guy. I don't know if you know my background in baseball, but I was.
You were almost a Yankee.
Yeah. I was offered a contract with the New York Yankees when I was 18, and 5 teams wanted me. Cincinnati, the Chicago Cubs. I was a real good pitcher. Unfortunately, I hurt my arm and I was finished with sports. Real bad dislocation of my shoulder, and they didn't have arthroscopic in those days. And I remember one of the doctors wanted to cut into my arm over here. My Jewish mother, with her accent, says, "You're not cutting my son," It was funny. But then I hurt my arm. So now what am I going to do? You know what I mean? I'm not a business guy. I went to NYU and I became a high school gym teacher.
All right.
Teacher.
So a couple of quick things. First of all, when you had that incredible life-changing setback, were you depressed? Were you even suicidal? Or was it like, well, I'll pick myself up, dust myself off, and start all over again?
No, I was depressed. Oh, yeah. My whole life was baseball, pitching, you know what I mean? And, of course, here I am going to sign with the Yankees, and the other teams were after me, and then I hurt my arm in a game in the first inning, and of course I'm depressed, yeah. And then when I went to college, and I said, oh, well, I love kids, I love sports, teaching and all this, so then I was happy,
But here's a question for you, because
depressed for a number of years with that.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, but the thing is, so you found that calling in life. You got to still be very physical. You got to do sports. You got to help young people grow and do sports for themselves. But at the same time, now you're getting on TV. Now you're getting in the clubs. Now you got like Bud Friedman managing you. Wasn't there a certain point where your manager or other people were telling you, if you want to make a career as a comedian, you kind of got to give up getting up for the 7:45 a.m. bell?
Well, here's what I did. I was a teacher here in Queens, but in those days, a lot of the television was right here in New York. So I was doing Johnny Carson, Merv Griffin, David Frost, Mike Douglas, Ed Sullivan. They were all in the area. So I never had to quit teaching, you know? So, and I was teaching for a number of years. So I would do television and then go and teach school the next day. You know, it would be crazy because it was like a hero to these, even the teachers, the kids. Here I am doing Carson, and the next day I'm in a gym. You know, it was like insane.
Yeah.
They're asking me for my order. Even the teachers were asking for my autograph.
I would.
So I didn't quit right away. Eventually, later on in life, I left.
Oh, you did?
After a number of years, then went out to L.A. and did more TV.
Well, I know that you were in. It was only a season long, but I do recall watching like the baseball sitcom Ball 4, based on Jim Bouton's book. You were there for a season of that. Do you have any stories about doing a sitcom like that? Was it arduous? Was it wonderful? How was it?
Yeah, well, that was great because I played an actor who was a pitcher with a bad arm. And when I was in LA, they flew me into New York to read for the part of Ball 4. And I was accepted, but unfortunately, like a lot of sitcoms, it died out, and we only did about 7, 8 episodes. I said, oh my God, look, here's my chance to be on a sitcom. You have to be lucky in show business, but it fell through, and that was the end of Ball 4. But I had fun doing it, and that's it.
Well, you also, amazingly enough, you got to be on a sitcom with the great Nancy Walker. Because weren't you in Blansky's View?
Jim Bolton was my uncle.
Someone watching the show just wrote in to say that Jim Bouton was his uncle. Bouton just passed a few months ago, I think. But were you in? Do you have any memories of Nancy Walker? Were you on Blansky's Beauties?
Oh yeah, but you know how I got on that show?
No.
Excuse me. That was in L.A. I'm going back now. When I was in the Army, I was drafted in the Army. I was in between let me see. I graduated NYU 56. I was in the Army from 56 to 58. They sent me to Fort Knox, Kentucky. And because I was a high school phys ed teacher, they made me the basketball coach. And I had tryouts for the soldiers. And one of the guys was Gary Marshall.
Oh my God!
Producer. Yeah, he made my. So I knew him from basketball. Then when I went to LA, we got close. I used to go to his house and play basketball for a couple of years every Saturday, and he would give me Blansky's Beauties and a few other shows. You know, as
But let me ask you a question.
He gave me jobs.
Yeah. Let me ask Lenny, how did you? So you knew Gary Marshall, like from those early days, from the military, from playing basketball with him. How wasn't there a moment? Could you play basketball with him without at some moment saying, "So I hear you got this show coming called Happy Days. Do you think maybe you could, I could be, or Laverne and Shirley, I know you need a squiggy. I'd make a great squiggy." How do you know someone like that without hawking them and pestering them and saying, "Look, I'm in this business, help me"?
I know what you're talking about, but I'm not that kind of guy. I never said, "What could you do for me?" I just play ball.
Yeah.
I went to his refrigerator. I had a soda, played tennis over there, but I never said, "Hey, what could you do for me?" I'm not that I never pushed. I was never really aggressive that way. And he came to me and says, Lenny, you got a little part for you here. I got a part for you here. And that's how it happened, you know?
Well, do you have any stories?
And I remember playing basketball there, and we played, not full court, but we played 3-on-3. And the guy I used to always guard was Elliot Gould, who was the husband of Barbara Streisand.
Right. 6 Degrees of Streisand. So again, you say, so no, Elliot, you're doing this movie with Robert Altman. Does he need somebody to imitate a chicken? You know, I guess you don't. You're not the kind of person who would ask that, you know. So do you have any stories, though, about all these people that you worked with, either comedians that opened for you or you opened for, or some of the actors that you dealt with? Any kind of fun anecdotes and memories of these people?
Well, when I left L.A. After the election, I didn't want to take any chances with show business because I had a child and married, and so I called the Board of Education up and I said, hey, how do I get a pension? They said, you have to, if you come back to New York, you have to teach at least another 4 years to get a pension. I went back after just working with Sinatra, Jimmy Stewart, Milton Berle, and all these guys, and here I am, and I wanted to get the pension, so I went and got the pension. You know, I did my 4 years, but while I was in New York, every weekend I would work in comedy clubs.
Wow.
And I remember going out and working I was never an opening act. I was a little too strong for opening act. I like the comic, a nice comic. But I used to open up for Frank Zappa. You heard of him?
Yes, I've heard of Frank Zappa. So he would bring you out when the mothers would be playing, and you would be sort of get the crowd all riled up.
I used to do shows with him at Phil Forum in Madison Square Garden, and the only two people I ever worked was Frank Zappa and Willie Nelson. You know, one was rock and roll.
What a stretch!
With both those guys.
So, do you have any stories about either Frank, Zappa, or Willie Nelson? Any memories of them? Anything about them?
Well, here's a story with Mel Brooks. You want to hear that?
Yes, of course.
Mel Brooks was doing the movie, excuse me, High Anxiety, it was called.
Right.
You know? And when Mel Brooks hires people, he usually, before he hires, he brings in his own group. Madeline Kahn, this guy, that, people that he likes.
Right.
His friends, and they work for him. And then my friend Steve Landesberg, who was on Bonnie Miller, told Mel Brooks about me. He needed a dog, a person. Well, I'm getting confused here. I'm forgetting, but let me try to remember.
Sure.
Charlie Callis.
Yes.
And he played the part of a dog, a real dog. Okay. For some reason, he may not be doing the movie. So Steve Landesberg said, Lenny Schultz is in town. He does besides a chicken, he does lizards, he does dogs. So Mel Brooks, they called me up. I auditioned for him, and the first thing he says to me, hi Lenny, I hear you're pretty wild. I'm auditioning now for the dog part that Charlie Callis may not do. So he says, go over to the couch over there, get on your knees, and hump the couch like a dog. So I'm going, and I start doing the humping thing,
Yeah.
And he says, oh, what a great effing dog. Wow. If Charlie doesn't come back, you got the part. But Charlie came back and did the part. That's my story with Mel Brooks.
So basically, your one meeting with Mel Brooks is he complimented you on how well you humped a couch like an animal. Only show business. Only.
Yeah, it was wild the way I did it. Oh, by the way, I started growling. And he started petting me. So I did his hand. I played the part of what a great effing dog. I remember him saying that.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely.
That was my story with Mel Brooks, and I got a great story also with, but it's a little long, with Milton Berle. You know.
Tell me that.
I have a lot of stories.
Well, I love that. That's what we're here. Because it's one thing for someone who has worked with famous people to say, oh, I worked with this person. I worked with Sinatra. I worked with, but it's another for them to say, and here's something that happened when I worked with so-and-so. This was really scary or funny or silly or poignant. So tell us the Berle story, by all means.
What do you say? Which story is that now? I'm getting.
Well, no, you said you had a story about Milton Berle.
Oh yeah, look, I know Cosby is not liked now because of all this stuff with the women and all that stuff, but he did a sitcom where he was a family man, Huxtable something.
Yeah, Huxtable. Yes.
Before that, years before that, he did a variety show called Cause. C-O-S.
Uh-huh.
So I did
Why?
the pilot for him. He actually saw me at the Catch a Rising Star with producers, directors, and all that. And he liked my set, and he called me. He says, "Hey, I want you to do a pilot for me." Doing Cause. So I did the pilot here in New York for him. And I remember, what's his name was in it. And I got a little friendly with him. What's his name? He used to be in the Odd Couple.
Klugman, Randall, who? Al Molinari, who was in like Tony Randall or Jack Klugman, one of them.
Randall.
Okay.
Me and a few others. So we did the pilot. Chorus. So it wasn't picked up. About 6-7 months later, I get a call. Hey, we were picked up, and we want you to. We're going to start filming. And he brought me out to LA, and Milton Berle in that particular show was the main actor. I was the second or third person on the show. So they put Milton Berle and I together. You know how Nixon was against Kennedy and that debate thing.
Yeah.
They had Milton Berle dressed as a clown. He represented the crazy party. I represented the cold cut party. They gave me a shirt, trousers. I had cold cuts all over my shirt, a pepperoni tie.
Oh, real actual, yeah.
You know, salami, bologna, turkey. You know, they pasted it onto my shirt. So now we're in front of about 700 people, and they gave us cue cards before the night before. It says, hey, just look at the cue card. You know, try to know a little about, when we get to tape it in the morning. So we start the next day in the morning, and Milton Berle goes first. We're debating, and Milton Berle says, vote for me, da-da-da-da-da. And he had a propeller on his head. Lights were going all over his clown suit. And then it came to my part. And you vote for me, I'll give you this, I'll do that. And the director kneeling next to me knew that whenever I heard the words, go crazy Lenny, would excite me. So he said, go crazy Lenny. And he did it so soft that it couldn't hit the boom mic, couldn't pick it up. And I stopped looking at my cue card, and my eyes crossed, and I went off my dialogue, and I started improvising. You vote for me, I'll give you salami. And I start ripping all the stuff off my shirt. Salami, I started eating it crazily. You know what I mean? The audience went insane.
Yeah.
And so I overpowered Milton Berle.
Uh-oh.
He got very angry when the producers, directors came to me, Lenny, we have to do this to Regino, but you were too strong for him. We got to make him the star of the sketch.
Right.
So that's my story with Milton Berle.
Wow, yeah. I get the feeling that he would not want to be overshadowed in any way, shape, or form.
You can't overshadow a star. So we had to do the whole thing over again. I'm getting a little hoarse here.
Oh, well, or a little bit of a pony. Can you do a horse for us?
A lot of other stories I can't even think. I remember, what's his name from Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Larry David or from?
Larry David, yeah. When I was out there, when I first moved out there, I wanted to get furniture and all that, and to get a bed, and someone said, Larry David is trying to sell his mattress. So I went over to his, he wasn't, they didn't know him, and he's, a starving comic like a lot of us. I never thought I was just a lucky guy. Things went pretty well for me. But he tried to sell me his mattress. That was crazy.
My God. We're talking, by the way, with Lenny Schultz. With so many delightful stories, so much going on. So you, and I do want to get to the point again, that at 86 years old, you sound amazing. You're absolutely, as we would say, all there. Do you live by yourself? You're not in a retirement community or home or who are?
Yeah, I live in one of these in a condo in Allendale on the beach.
Nice.
And I'm looking at the ocean right now while I'm talking to you. And I'm just relaxing and before all this disease stuff with all the what's going on, I used to go have fun going to comedy clubs. I'd call them up and say, hey, you want me to come over? He says, oh, we'd love you. So I used to go to comedy clubs and work out, go on stage 10, 15 minutes just to have a little fun.
Wow.
They never paid me, I didn't want to get paid. I just did it for fun. So now I can't even do that because comedy clubs are all closed now.
Well, sure. But can I ask, when you were with people, whether it's relatives or whether friends or just strangers, do you feel the need to be on? Do you always feel the need to make a little joke or do something physical, or can you have?
I'm not one of those guys who does that. I'll only do it with people I know. Or they'll say, hey, Lenny, great chicken. Let me do my chicken. Do the chicken for my son, my daughter. Where I'm living. So I do that, but then I get tired of doing it. They say, do this, do that. But when I'm with friends, I'm usually, I still have that introverted shy thing about me. You know what I mean? I'm still, I don't push myself. I don't like a lot of comics out on all the time. Not me.
That's wonderful that you can compartmentalize, because I know for a lot of people that's very difficult. Like I used to hear stories about Robin Williams where he would be at a party and he would just, he would have to be on. They weren't asking, he would just be on so much that people get tired. They'd be like,
let me dispute you.
Oh.
I was very friendly with Robin. We were both on the New Laughing. We were very close. We went out. We were with our wives, and we went to movies together, swimming, and all. He was a quiet type of guy a lot of times, and he wouldn't show off a lot of times. And sometimes he would, and sometimes, like me, sometimes you show off a little bit, do your chicken, tell some jokes or whatever. And but a lot of the times, if Robin, if he didn't know you, he's quiet.
Huh. Okay. Because I had heard a little different. Maybe it was just one particular occasion where he just kept going and going. And people were like, Robin, you don't have to do that. We like you for you. You can just be yourself. But he couldn't turn it off. But maybe that was.
But, he could do that. But
yeah.
He could be on the quiet side also.
That's good. That's. I mean, whatever. It wasn't good for him because at some point he just. Yeah. Do you get the feeling, since you knew so many comedians, that they are more screwed up and depressed and miserable and angry than the regular person?
Well, someone maybe has to do a study on that, but I think everyone could be that way. I'm a lawyer, a doctor, a sanitation a baker, you know what I mean? We're all human beings,
Yeah.
We could be depressed or happy like everyone else. A lot of comics were depressed like anybody could be depressed.
True.
Or happy, I didn't find that, you hear that things, you hear that about comics, but I don't believe that. I think it's, everyone is that way. We're all human beings. It happened to anyone.
Well, speaking of human beings, you're a human being too, and as lively and fun as you are, you were married twice, and I guess twice it didn't work. Why do you think? Was it the show business? Was it just your personality? You weren't meant to be married long term. Why aren't you married still?
Well, I don't really like talking about personal things like that.
Okay.
On the air like that.
That's okay.
I feel funny doing that.
I'm not saying you have to talk down about people you were married to, but is there something in you?
But the people I divorced and everything, they were friends of mine. I like them. It just happens. I don't want to really talk about it.
Do you have kids? Did you have children?
I had one kid, Mark, I love him, a son who, became very good at music. He's a piano player, and he was a famous DJ. He did a lot of DJ stuff at the original China Club when it opened up in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And I have one child from my first wife, and now I have a girlfriend that I like very much, Sharon Margulies, Sharon Renee, and she's a great girl, and I love her. And
Mazel. No, I mean, she was instrumental in getting you on this program, by the way, because you don't have Facebook, you don't have.
Well, because I don't like talking with people with business, getting on shows and talking. And I said, why don't you handle it for me? You know what I mean? And she's very clever, and she handled the whole project.
We thank her very, very much for the way she's been helping you and the way that she was able to get you on this program. We're very, very grateful to her and to you. Let me tell you, one other thing that I heard on a podcast that you did was, can you tell the story, please, of the moth?
The what?
The moth. Like a butterfly, but not really, like a moth. Remember you were on...
Wow. Where did you hear that story?
You were on a podcast a few years ago, very good, very fun podcast, and they did a really, really good job. It was this sexy little Asian girl.
Well, that was the craziest thing in the world. I don't even know, like, talking about it, but what the hell, I'll tell you.
Please.
I went to see a friend of mine at a comedy club, a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine who passed away a number of years, Chris Rush. And we were very friendly. I went to see him. He was in my neighborhood. I went to see him at the comedy club, and I came in, and because I had done quite a bit of television, a lot of the people in the audience knew me, and so Chris came over to me and says, "Lenny, would you like to come up on stage, and I'll introduce you and do a few minutes?" He says, "No, not really. I just came here to just relax and watch you, have a couple of drinks." And so he went on. He was a terrific comedian. And then the nightclub was a very small nightclub, low ceilings, and the walls were all black. And you could see the spotlight, and you could see all the smoke in the spotlight. So he said, he said, "Come on, Lenny." The audience is going, "Come on, Lenny." The people want to see that. So I went on the stage, and I walked in. This is one in a billion. This will never happen again. I walked on the stage and into the spotlight, and from the other side, a large moth came in from the other side of the spotlight, and I immediately looked at it and I said, "Jesus, it's like hovering like a helicopter. It's not moving, like flying around real fast like a bird or a moth normally would do. It's just sort of like just moving slightly." And so I went into my lizard. I do a lizard thing. And I went, like an iguana, and I went pop, pop, and I went pop. And with my tongue, I caught the moth. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock, and the audience went, "Whoa, look what just happened. This is not a prop. This is a real moth." You know what I mean?
Yes.
So because I was crazy, and some of the people, they go crazy, Lenny. So I start chewing them off. You know, and the guts were like coming down my mouth, and because hey, I gotta go crazy, Lenny, go crazy. So I had to go nuts. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And normally I'm the real Lenny is a quiet type of guy, real deep down. And here I am doing that, and people were falling off the chair. They couldn't believe what happened. I couldn't believe. I ran into the bathroom, stuck my fingers down my throat. I threw up, wiped myself a little bit. We came back over here, and Chris Rush, who had to continue the show, he couldn't continue for another 15, 20 minutes. There was too much bedlam in the room. People saying they couldn't believe what had just happened. And that's the story of my moth.
Oh my God! There's actually a storytelling group called The Moth.
Smiling? Are you smiling from that?
Of course, I'm smiling. I'm smiling from this whole interview. It's wonderful. It's delightful. And unfortunately,
I did some crazy things that I regretted. I said, "Oh my God, how did I even?" I had no time to think. I just did the lizard, and I stuck my tongue out and shot it out. Like the lizards normally do, or a snake that goes out, caught the thing, and put it back and chewed it.
Wow, wonderful. I mean,
it was really disgusting.
Yeah, all right, but in the moment, you've got to do it. The spotlight's on you, the crowd's there, they're telling you go crazy, something clicks in the brain. As a comedian, you have to take that shot in that moment. Because you might have regretting it if you hadn't. I mean, you're regretting it when you were vomiting the moth up. But if you hadn't done it, it would have been in your head to this day of like, what if I could have? What if I just gotten them? What a moment that would have been, So you did it. You took it. That's what a comedian. That's what a performer and entertainer does. It's been so delightful. It has been so much fun chatting with Lenny Schultz here on Dave's Gone By. First of all, before we let you go, I want to thank you for everything that you have done for comedy. You were, as they say, comedian's comedian. So that even if a lot of people don't necessarily know, you may not know your name. If they see you physically, they'll know who you are. They'll remember you, and there are comedians who will say, oh gosh, yes, some of the greatest comedians still with us will go, oh, I never wanted to follow Lenny. And this is why. I think we've gotten a taste of just that. Do you have a favorite current comedian? Is there someone who makes you laugh these days?
Well, the guy I always thought was my friend was Robin Williams. There was no one like him. He was, because I used to go to improv classes and watch him do this, do that, and and his improv. He was a real pure genius. He like that. Like I said before, there are other comics. Can't think of a lot of their names, but geez, I like so many of them. I like 5 minutes of their material, 3 here, 2 here. Even unknown comics. You know what I mean?
Right. And for 2 or 3 minutes, they got
a lot of them opened up for me. You know what I mean? Right. Even what's his name? As a young guy, Eddie Murphy used to open up for me.
Wow.
Phil used to open up for me. Ray Romano, Kevin James, all these guys. At the beginning of their careers, they opened up for me, and they became stars. And I liked all of them. They're real. I like the person better if they were a nice guy than a comic. If they were a decent human being, I liked them. And comic was secondary.
Well, were there any who weren't mentions? Did you run into a couple of comedians who became famous who really weren't very nice?
Yeah, you always get people who are nice. Some are great. Some are not. I'm not gonna.
Oh, you don't want to.
There could be a few that not that I disliked them. Some of them would make comments like any human being. You say, what a schmucky guy this guy is. Why did he say that? Why is he talking bad about this guy? Why? Well, you know what it is. That's life. Good and bad. In between everything.
Well,
but I like the real nice guys.
Well, Lenny, you sound like the ultimate anti-schmuck. You are the nice guy. You have been absolutely giving us so much joy just on this program and through your life. All I can do is wish you, first of all, God willing, continued good health to you. Not just COVID, but anything. Just be well. Enjoy your life on the beach with the water. Enjoy the comedy that you enjoy. And keep being the one, the only Lenny Schultz. Thank you so much for being with us in the Daverhood today.
Well, thank you, Sol. Sol is your name, right?
Yeah, it's correct. Sol Solomon, yes.
Yeah, you sound like a nice guy yourself.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me on. I very rarely do these kind of shows. You know, a lot of comics, they're doing these, what do they call them? I don't know what they call it. Mod from their house, you know.
Oh, yeah. Podcasting. Yeah.
Podcast, yeah, you know, a lot of them everyone is doing podcasts now.
Right.
They're calling me up there, and I did yours because I saw who you had before, and I thought, oh, I'll go on yours. You know what I mean? I only did one before that, and let's see what's gonna go on now. You know,
Well,
I could do them, I can't do them. I'm just happy with the way I'm living right now. As long as I have my health,
Halavai.
And having a little fun, I'm happy, you know?
Halavai. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay Lenny Schultz. Shalom to you.
Thank you very much.
You too. Shalom. And
Shalom. Bye.
bye. Lenny Schultz! Oh, wasn't that wonderful? Oh, wasn't that so much? Yeah, you know what? You're not as good a chicken as Lenny Schultz is a chicken. I gotta say that. We have Dave coming back to do the yesterday quiz right now. So this is Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder, spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitchers, saying shalom to you. Oh, go crazy, Rabbi. Hey.